Hello, Steve White, Steve White's 89. Well, I'm sort of doing a review of all the Halloween films. I just sort of want to talk about them for a minute because every Halloween I watch the Halloween films, but I've sort of gotten a bit slack where I sort of wasn't really paying attention to them over the year, but this year I actually sat down and watched them properly, actually sat in front of them and watched them instead of just sort of having them in the background while I was doing other things, which is sort of what has sort of begun to sort of happen. Now, Halloween 6, my God, it has such a production nightmare story where basically there was a lot of cooks in the kitchen, a lot of good ideas were abandoned, and they had to explain, they felt they had to explain the mysterious man in black from the film before. They could have just left it, but they tried really hard to explain it, and they also rewrote that explanation where it was more about witchcraft, and then they're like, no, we need an X-Files ending, so make it all about experimentation and science, and like Michael's some sort of experiment from this group or whatever. It doesn't work. They reshot half of the film, and unfortunately Donald Pleasence died just after the film ended, when he was still, I think, doing some of his ADR. So they reshot half the film without him, and they just made a mess out of it because they didn't think the film worked in the first place. They didn't like it. They thought they had too much Donald Pleasence, too much old man talking, and they're trying to appeal to the MTV sort of teenage generation at the time in the mid-90s, and that led to a lot of bad editing and superficial elements that were just sort of flashy there for superficial reasons, and some fear and anxiety about creating the film and having to compete with other films and in the series and then other films really hurt it. Now, usually I watch the original because that's all I had for the longest time. But I found a copy of the producer's cut that someone had online on YouTube. So this year I watched that, and I think I've seen it once before, but not on Halloween. So it was kind of new to me. I forgot so much of what happens in it and all the differences between the original theatrical cut and this one. It is staggering. This is the better version. There's no mistake about that. It has a better tone, if not better colour, because when they did the producer's cut of this, I think they left out some of the colour timing, and it's not as warm, so it doesn't look as Halloween in some of the shots. But ultimately, Tommy has become obsessed with Michael, and he's basically living across from the Strode house, expecting something to happen there. The Strodes are really just involved because they're living in the house. Basically, Michael has sort of been kidnapped by this cult, and they kidnapped Jamie as well, and they've impregnated her, but we don't really know if Michael actually impregnated her or whether, but how it's messy and gross and you don't want to think about it, so I'm just going to go right past it. But there's a baby that's born, and the idea is that, which is much clearer in this version, which I never really got in the other film, is Michael has to kill everyone in his family to end the curse, and then the curse of the thorn is transferred to someone else, who then has to kill everyone in their family. So he's trying to kill everyone in his family. Now, he does kill Jamie in the original version fairly early on. Later on, she's killed by one of the members of the Thorn cult after surviving Michael's initial attack where he just stabbed her. They refilmed it where she really is absolutely, well and truly, most sincerely dead. And there's a whole lot of drama about the actress Danielle Harris, who was supposed to come back. They were being cheap, and I don't know why the producers and the Yablans didn't get involved with this, but they didn't want her back because she was 17 and they couldn't make her work as an adult. That it would be more expensive to have her working as a child and all the child labour laws and that. But she got emancipated so she'd have the role, but then they wouldn't even pay her enough to cover how much she spent to be emancipated, and they just treated her like crap, basically. And I wonder if they ever paid her for her image being used in the other films, but whatever. So I've discovered a lot of actors who were in one horror film, and then some of their footage was used in another film to set up the next film, and they didn't get paid for it until didn't even know about it until fans in conventions pointed out the fact that they are actually in that film as well as a flashback. So she got done dirty, but she didn't like the way they treated the character, and she was sort of okay with not dying, because you're sort of aware, yes, that character's died, but because it's not the same actress, it doesn't quite resonate the same. But yeah, Michael's back, of course. He's chasing Jamie, kills Jamie, but she hides the baby. Tommy ends up with the baby, and he ends up trying to help Laura, not Laurie Strode, Karen, I think it is, or Kira, I can't remember her name, but the new girl, and she's very unlikable. She's too skinny and very unlikable. She is a mother, so she's got that. She doesn't have that teen girl sort of quality that all the other final girls had. But Donald. I keep calling him Donald. Like I know him and like he's the character. Loomis shows up because Jamie actually calls in to a radio station talking about Halloween to get attention, and he hears that, and then he goes back to the town knowing that Michael's back. But the new sheriff doesn't really want to help. He blames it all on Loomis, like he created the situation or something. And then we find out that actually the person behind a lot of this is actually working for Smith's Grove, and one of the people that Loomis has worked with all these years, and he sort of wants him to take over the sort of Thorn cult. And then we have I'm sort of feeling like I have to talk about both films. I really want to do a review of the producer's cut, but because we all know the theatrical cut, because that's what we saw first, even if the producer's cut is better, and we watch that, we still sort of can't forget what we saw in the other film, so it still sort of comes with it, all that baggage comes with it. But this film ends better, although the very, very ending is annoying, because for some reason Michael takes his clothes off and changes them over with the leader of the cult and leaves him lying there, and Donald comes over and he sees him and he's like, "Oh, Michael," and then he realizes it's actually the other guy under the mask. I'm like, well, he could have easily just, and you're surprised that he's alive, and he could have easily just left him there, and Donald would have stopped for him and then discovered he was alive. You would have had the exact same situation, except you could have kept Michael in his original outfit, not in this ridiculous cult outfit. Because then you can go and straight into what I do is, now I watch part 8 right after 6, and someone on YouTube did an edit of the film without Laurie Strode at the beginning. It just starts from the credits. It's about an hour and 9 minutes long, I think. I watched that this year, and I just watched that after 6. So you can just follow 3 and then 4, 5, 6, and 8 all the way through as one sort of universe. So that's what I did. This year I did Halloween 1, 2, and H2O, and then I did 3, 4, 5, 6, and 8. And then I've yet to rewatch 1978 original with Halloween 2018, Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. I've watched them once as a whole thing, but I didn't watch them again this time. So when I review them, I'll be reviewing them from when I watched them a couple of days ago. So yeah, God, which ending do I talk about? It had 3, I think. The first ending, we don't know what happens to Donald Pleasance. We're hearing scream, we don't know what happens. The second film, he is infected with Thorn, and now is he going to take over? Is he going to become the killer? Is he going to protect Michael? We don't really know what that means. But yeah, basically, Tommy and the final girl get away with the baby and her son, but is the son destined to take over from Michael? Because he hears the voices telling him to kill. And the idea is that the cult made Michael, and then they tried to control him, and it didn't win. And that kind of works in this version. In the other version, where they use science to control Michael, and yeah, it's like they're trying to be X-Files. It just is a disaster. So I don't know if I can go back to watching the original film after I've seen the producer's cut now. And yeah, I don't know. But I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. I'm losing my voice talking about all these films. But I did enjoy it when I first saw it. And I do enjoy the producer's cut, but I really don't enjoy the original theatrical version anymore. So that's kind of weird. I definitely won't be watching it. I don't think. But then again, I think that someone did a compilation of the deleted scenes or the different scenes. So maybe I can just watch the producer's cut and the scenes that were not included or changed instead of watching the whole film, because I still feel like I'm missing something if I don't watch the whole film, because they reshot so much of the film. It's like there's two different films, so it's almost like you have to watch both. But yeah, I'm going to go. Bye.